I hate cancer. We hate cancer if it affects any two-leggers, three-leggers, or four-leggers.
Yeah.
So just what would surprise people in doing your learning about cancer and trying to create this nonprofit? Cancer in pets. Tell us about how surprisingly prevalent it is.
Yeah. First of all, my father had passed away of cancer from many forms of cancer from, So it impacts us all. But I think for what was surprising to me, Arden, was I didn't know how many animals were impacted by cancer. 6 million, I think. And if you look at the numbers, 54% of senior dogs, 8+ have that chances increase up to 54% more.
Wow.
The breeds that get cancer as well, more prevalent breeds, of German Shepherds, of Golden Retrievers, it's amazing to me. But the thing that I also found amazing is cancer is not exclusive. It's very inclusive, whether it's hemangiosarcoma or if it's moose passed away of stage 4 lymphoma, all these different things and the different cancers, I had no idea. And then I think as I got more into my knowledge and understanding more about cancer, that how important early detection is. Because if you catch it soon enough, the two words that we talk about are hope and quality of life.
Right. Now, it's my understanding in dogs that there are three most common types of cancer. It's skin cancer,
skin cancer, correct, lymphoma,
and breast cancer. I guess I was surprised in research that skin cancer is the most common found in dogs. Were you surprised by that?
I was very surprised by that. I certainly was, because when you think about skin cancer, you don't think about its prevalence within an animal. You think about it for a human as opposed to an animal, because how can an animal, he's got covered in fur.
Yeah.
Happen. So yes, absolutely. Another cancer that's very prevalent, and it's coming more. And then I think we also need to think about why are we just learning and finding out more about cancer, or is there something that's within the environment? Perhaps is there a toxicity? Is it within our food? Is it within the toys?
Right.
What is causing this cancer, and how do we deflect that? What do we do about that? One thing that I'm finding out more about, and I don't know if it's the timing, but I'm finding out more about hemangiosarcoma that I had no idea about. And I just had a friend, Rhonda Siegel, her dog Riken just passed away, hemangiosarcoma. Steve Dale, his dog Ethel passed away. And there's so many, and that's a sudden cancer as well, that one day they're fine. And then it's really just a tumor, a bleed out that's just devastating.
With this, your organization is all about trying to educate us about early detection and prevention. So how does Bition Veterinary play a role in all this? And can you give us some tips on what we can do? I teach pet first aid. I teach everybody in my classes, Zoom and in person, how to do a head to tail assessment. And I do it on my dog, Kona. And we're doing this once a week because we're trying to catch any changes early and report it to our vet. So Kona is my good safety dog, and she gets head to tail. We're smelling her breath, looking at her ears, feeling. So it sounds like that's something we need to do just on a regular basis. But absolutely. I'm spitting aloud at you, Tricia. Who the hell is Bition Veterinary? How are they working with Moose's March?
So Bition Veterinary is one of our amazing partners and sponsors. They are all about early detection of pet cancer. And what that means is it's right now, it is for canines only. They are introducing a white paper that's coming out next year on felines, but it is a new Q testing, and people can go to bitionveterinary.com and find out more information. But it is an actual blood test that you can include within your pet's regular checkup. And it does the markers for pet cancer. I'm not a veterinarian, so I do not want to go into the specifics of that, but there are specific markers that can detect early detection, that can detect cancer. And
So you're saying like we recommend everyone to get an annual exam with our dogs, and ideally twice a year if they're seniors. Little
Right.
Emma, my dog, she's 4. She goes in Thursday for her annual exam. So when there is a blood test, what can we do to educate our veterinarians about maybe doing some more parts of it to get those maybe markers that could indicate cancer?
Sure. I think that right now, I know they're working with IDEX and other manufacturers as well, but it is available through your veterinary office. You would need to ask for it and say that you do want an early detection test. The new Q test from Bition Veterinary. How we are working at Moose's March, we are working with shelters across the country, and we're providing tests specifically for shelters to provide for people that do not maybe have the resources.
Okay.
What is so important to me that I think that Moose gave to me, as well as working at Paws Humane Society, it was in an underserved area. It was not in northern shelters, obviously, those kind of, we had pit bulls, and it wasn't the most highest level of income areas. What I believe Moose really taught me is that everyone is deserving of an animal, no matter what you look like, no matter your race, no matter your income level, because our pets give so much to us. What we want to do at Moose's March is to make sure that this test is available and accessible for everyone, no matter what your income level is. We want to make sure that we're able to provide that to them. So again, we're working with shelters across the country. In 2024, we will be having a grant that goes out to select shelters as well to help them out. Thank you. I'm excited to help out with testing, and also with specific cases of people who may not be able to afford care for their pets for cancer. The board that we have right now, I'm just going to Dr. Thomas Butera, CEO of Bition Veterinary, Kristen Werman of Zoetis Base Paws, Becky Mosser, Appalachian State College. She's the coordinator, NAVTA, RVT. She is MPA. She's just my heart. Dr. Rayanne Van Pelt, she was one of my veterinarians from Chicago Veterinary Medical Association. She was with Family Pet Animal Hospital. Now she works with an organization called Cooperative Care Coalition. And then David Levy, who's with Pet Product Innovations and just an icon within the pet industry, and more. And just
you have assembled a pet posse to take on cancer. That's pretty amazing. I know earlier in November, because this show was airing in December, you actually did a webinar, Let's Talk About Pet Cancer. And I have a feeling that's not the last.
I think you're right about that. We had an overwhelming response to it, Arden, and people want to know more. The questions that we've gotten, the people that want to know more in specifics about early detection. Part of that webinar was we had someone on from the Association of Pet Loss and Bereavement, Roland, and as the executive director, and Nina Papazian. Phenomenal group. And we don't talk about grief enough and how we deal with that. We also had Dr. David Stansfield from Cooperative Care. And what Cooperative Care Coalition does is it bridges the gap between the practitioner and the client. How do you talk? What do you do? What do I say? What if I, all these things that we feel uncomfortable with. So we were able to really talk about that. And there is more coming up for Moose's March in 2024 for the anniversary of his birthday. And as of his passing, we are hosting marches across the country, and people can get involved. They can go to our website and see more information on that. But it is about giving back. We're a 501c3. All of that donations, full transparency, goes to help people and pets and shelters across the country, helping to fight early detection of pet cancer and giving hope.
And go ahead and give that website again for people.
That is moosesmarch.com. That's MOOSES March, MARCH.com, moosesmarch.com.
So what can we do? We talk about early detection. So from your perspective, what are a few tips you can give pet parents for kind of keeping their eyes open?
Arden, I think what you're doing right now on your podcast and with your first aid courses is teaching people how to do that well check, how important that is. I also think regular veterinary checkups are incredibly important. That relationship that you establish with your veterinarian is so important. As your pet gets older and you're talking, 6, 7, 8 years old, make sure that you get your dog tested for early detection. Make sure that he is detected for pet cancer. If you have a breed that is prone to pet cancer, get them detected early. Include an early detection test as part of your normal testing that you get with your veterinarian. I think that is so vital right now. Our goal is to try and eliminate pet cancer and to try to obviously give a type of quality of life, because if there is a diagnosis, what do you do? And the earlier that you can detect cancer and pet cancer, the better off that you and your pet are going to be.
Well, there are treatment options, but I guess the rate of success depends on a lot of factors. But what are some things that are being done on dogs now to help treat cancer?
I think it's done different ways. I think there's chemotherapy. I think there's even prednisone to take them out of a little bit of that misery if they're not an option. If chemotherapy is not an option, there is surgery that they can remove a cancer, a tumor or a cell. I think it also is, there are people that have talked about diets and being able to turn things around. I think if you can go to a holistic veterinarian, or you can go, or
integrative, maybe.
Integrative, correct. It runs the full gamut and the full scope. We do have to think about toxicity, though, Arden.
Yes.
For years, we have talked about what goes into our pet's mouth. What's the food that we're feeding? What are these high quality diets? We have not talked about what are our pets chewing on? What about the nylons and the plastics and all these things that are going into their tummies from some of those particles that may be chipping off? That caused I think it was wearethecure.org, the gay, and I'll send you the link. You want to include this, but it is, they gave a complete report out on some of the toys and some of the items that are specifically harmful to our pets. And that is, they're the things that we don't think about, the things we don't, that can, the lead, or the plastics that come in, because think about those little giblets that come out when our pets may be chewing on those microplastics. If they ingest those, are they toxic? Are those causing cancer? How important it is to even know not only the food, but what about the things that they're chewing on from the toxicity standpoint?
That's it's like stop, watch, assess, because some things we just take for granted may be contributing to a chance of that pet getting cancer. That's pretty vital to share on this. And, I have a 9-year-old dog, Kona. She's a terrier mix. She works her heart out as a safety dog, and she's a therapy dog. And I'm just telling you that I make sure she gets a big test, but I'm going to make sure she gets that blood test, because she's my moose.
Please do. Please do. I think that the more that we can educate people on the early detection of pet cancer, that is the goal. That is the mission of Moose's March. There are many, many beautiful organizations out there, from the Morris Animal Foundation and others. Live Like Rue, giving the shout out to those, because they are important for cancer as well. But we are dedicated solely to the early detection of pet cancer and supporting animal shelters and animal welfare organizations across the country, and really giving the message of education and awareness for the early detection of pet cancer. Get them tested.
Excellent. Hey, we're speaking with Tricia Montgomery. She is the founder of Moose's March. Tricia, I really appreciate you being on the show today and sharing your message, because together we can help our dogs and soon our cats.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Four-Legged Life.
Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content.
Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life.